Hey guys, I'm in my car. So I wanted to talk about something today that has been very near and dear to my heart. That makes it sound like it's like a sweet, good thing. It's not a bad thing. But today I want to talk about change. I flippin' hate change. I think. I can't tell if I hate it or love it. Because do you ever not like something but okay, think about this. Do you ever enjoy growth and you feel like you're just growing as a person, but it just sucks at the same time, but there's this weird thrill of growing internally and in life? I don't know. That's kind of how I feel, at least. But this is such a weird introduction. I just want to maybe talk about ways that I can help you guys if you're going to go through change. Like if you're going to be going to college and you're going to be going into a new environment of people and you're scared and you don't know what to expect. Or if you're getting, if you're just deciding to move somewhere just to be by yourself in another state or another country or whatever it is. For me, the reason why I'm talking about this is because I moved from Florida to Massachusetts to get married. So, well, not to get married, but when I got married, I moved from Florida to Massachusetts. So basically, that was really hard. So I'm going to be really honest with you guys today about some things that maybe what to expect. I don't want to say that your experience is going to be exactly like mine, because I know everyone processes change and drastic moving situations or things differently, but I'm just going to say a little bit of my experience and maybe how I can help you transition better when you move somewhere or when you go to college or something like that. So yeah, if you're interested in hearing about that, then just keep watching this video. So I want to say that I think I'm just going to talk a little bit about my experience moving to Massachusetts first, and then I will go from there on maybe advice and stuff to help you guys go through change of any sort or moving of any sort. So when I got married, which was the end of September, we got married September 21st of 2018, and that was the best day of my life. I love my husband, and he is the best husband ever. And so definitely that was super exciting. We went straight to our honeymoon after getting married in Florida. We went on a cruise and that was a lot of fun. And then we get home back to Florida, and then we have to drive in my car from Florida to Massachusetts. And that was crazy. It was a long flippin' drive. It was 24 hours of driving. So much fun though. Our entire backseat, this entire car was just you couldn't see anything. So that was probably not so safe, but it's fine. We're here and we're alive today. So yeah, but maybe get a U-Haul. That could be a piece of information. if you're moving that far away, get a U-Haul, or just get rid of all your things, Marie Kondo it up. But anyways, shameless plug for Marie Kondo because I love her. She's changed my life. Anyways, I say anyways a lot in my videos. Sorry guys if that's so annoying. I'm not gonna say anyways. Actually, I probably will. I can't promise that. So, back to the story. We got here to Massachusetts, and if I'm gonna give you more of a big picture of the story, I think I need to talk about my mindset to just moving to Massachusetts. I had wanted to live in New York City, for the past like 6 years of my life. 5 or 6 years, I think I've been like obsessed with cities. I've been obsessed with New York. I've just been obsessed with the idea of living in a city. Pretty much New York City, but a city, and just mostly wanting to get out of Florida because I'd been there my entire life. So I was over it. Like, I was at the point where, I don't know if you feel like this, like if you're in high school and you're like, oh, I just can't wait to get out of here. I hate living in a small town, or I hate my hometown, and I'm so tired of being in one place, and I just feel like I'm too good for this. And I'm just saying this because this is how I felt. Like, and it wasn't like I was too good for like my family and like my friends. Like, that wasn't it at all. It was like, I just had been in one place for so long, and I was ready to just like experience something new. And so when, you know, my boyfriend turned into my fiance, like into my husband, that whole time I was like, wow, like we had the choice to live in Florida or to live in Massachusetts. And I was like, get me out of Florida. So in my head, going to Massachusetts, I was thinking that my whole life would be changed in a way that all my dreams would be answered. My dreams would come true living in a city. Like, everything I would have ever dreamed it to be would come to reality just because I moved from one place to another. And I think in my head, if you had have asked me, I don't think I would have thought that, like, just because I moved to Massachusetts, that I would like be in the city every single day, and like it would just be like I would just be walking around the city in lights all day long. Like, I didn't think it would be like that all the time, but in my head I had almost like a touristy, I don't know how you say it, like mindset of Boston, because I was thinking every time that I came to visit Isaiah, it was like I got the best parts of Boston. It was like we would go to the city all the time and we would explore, and like everyone was like excited to see me because it was like, oh, I was in town and they never got to see me. So it was like my perspective of coming to Boston was like, it's gonna be exciting all the time, and it's gonna be like the ideal dream life all the time. And when I got here, one, I didn't have a job because it was super hard to get a job from 1,000 miles away because no one wanted to interview me over the phone. And when I was in town, no one could interview me at the convenient time for when I was in town. So basically things didn't line up in the way that I would have liked them to. So I didn't even have a job when I got here. So I had no job, no friends. Like, of course I had like Isaiah's friends, but like I love them, but they're all guys. So like I didn't have any like solid girlfriends coming here. So I didn't have like anything, which was like, I mean, of course I had Isaiah, but you know, like just because someone's your husband, like they're not like the entire community that you've had around you your entire life. So coming from Florida, I had all of my best friends for the most part. Some of them weren't like in Orlando at the time, but like most of my best friends lived within 15 to 20 minutes, like if not less mileage away from me. And I could be with them all the time. It was like that feeling of you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh, what am I going to do today? And it's like, oh, let me just text my friend and see if they can go get coffee, or if they want to just come over, or if they want to like go grocery shopping with me, or if I don't feel like hanging out with people today, then I can just chill and like hang out with my brothers, or at least people around me that I know are there. And so I think that was something that I didn't realize that would be so different. So I think one thing to expect if you're moving to a place where you don't know anybody, or maybe you're moving with one other person, or maybe you're moving because you're getting married, or you're moving because you just want to get out of here. Keep in mind, like depending on if you know people or you already have something set up for you where you're moving, you're not going to know anybody. So that is a very lonely feeling. And I think that's something I really took for granted from like moving from Oviedo, because I had like, there's something so special about going to the store and like randomly seeing family friends, or like your mom's friend, or a person you go to school with. Like, I know right now that for you might just be like, ew, I don't want to go to Chipotle and see 25 people I know. But for me, I'm like, oh my gosh, the things I would give to like just run into people that I know. Oh, this is like a little sad to talk about. Sorry if I get like a little emotional, because this does make me emotional sometimes, because it's really hard. Like, this stuff they don't really, maybe they don't tell you about moving. At least no one really told me that it would be so hard. My husband had gone through it a few years prior, but it was kind of withdrawn for him because like when he moved to Massachusetts, it was really hard for him too. But that was like 4 years ago that he did that. So I don't think he could, like, the emotions and like the freshness of moving wasn't as fresh for him. So for me, it like did a little bit feel like I was going through it alone, but he was so awesome. Like, he was so there for me. But like, there is some stuff, like, one person can't provide everything for you. Especially everything that came with living in like a tiny little hometown that like was so filled with people that love you and like a whole community. Sorry, I'm not gonna cry. I'm gonna do my best not to cry. But you know, like, I think I haven't really gotten to like the main points yet, or like anything like very structured. But I think something right now, like, if you can, like, really be so thankful for what you have, like where you are. Like, that is a huge thing. Like, you never know, like, you have people, like, you get to be around your family, you get to be right down the road from your grandpa or your grandma, or I don't know, like your parents and your brothers or your sisters. Or for me, it's like, oh, I used to do Young Life, and oh, this is getting so emotional. I did Young Life, and I said I wasn't gonna cry. I mean, sorry. It's just one part of like Oviedo that was like really sad to leave and not have. So when I did Young Life, there was high school students I got so close to, and those were the girls that I mentored. And gosh, I just like, it's really hard not knowing the details of people's lives that you normally just know. Like, guys, I did not know I was gonna cry in this video. I thought I was gonna be strong. Basically, bottom line, it's just like, I have these girls that I would mentor, and not having them either is so hard. Like, you might think that if you mentor people, if somebody mentors you, that like you're just gonna miss them. Like, if you're like the people who are being mentored, your mentor isn't gonna miss you because like you just needed them or something. But like, the fullness that the girls that I mentored brought to me was something that I cannot explain. Those girls are just so special to me, and I didn't really know how hard it would be walking away from the ministry of Young Life, just because I know I could do it here, but it's different when you've just gotten so close to the girls and all the kids, like even the guys. Like, my brother was in Young Life while I led Young Life at the high school that I did, and it was like, I just got, I got close with all the kids, and I went to camp with them, and I would hang out with them throughout the week, and they were just such a big part of my week and my mornings, like when we would do campaigners. And I mean, guys, like, that was hard too, like leaving that ministry and not getting to just be in the lives of those girls regularly. And like, absolutely, you can call and FaceTime, and I do, like, we talk. My girls that I mentored and like had a really tight relationship with, like, we still text, and I still keep up with them. A lot of them just had prom, and they looked so pretty. Oh, the things I would do just to have been able to do their makeup for prom, or just get to take pictures of them. God, it's so freaking sad. okay, I'm being so emotional right now, but I'm sorry, this is how I can be. But yeah, I don't know, it's just like those things that don't seem big to you right now just because you're living in a hometown that maybe you're like over, you won't really know how much that stuff means to you. So a piece of advice is just like really try to soak up all the time with your people and with your best friends, and soak up that time, because that is so hard. Like, those people change your life whether they know it or not. Basically, I'm gonna go back into story time a little bit. So basically, my first month here in Boston was really hard. My marriage was so much fun. Like, of course, it was so fun getting to be with Isaiah every day. You know, just be married. Like, that was so much fun, and I really enjoyed that. But if you do move to a place that has a very different, weather from where you're from, you should definitely take that into consideration. Because for me, I went from Florida to Massachusetts, and if you don't know about weather of Florida or Massachusetts, Florida is super sunny and hot and humid pretty much all the time. It definitely rains. You definitely get a little cold, but it's primarily sunny year round. And Massachusetts is not. So you definitely see the sun, and you definitely have sunny days, and there are beaches here. And I mean, there's the Cape. Like, you definitely have the beach and stuff, but for a majority of the year, like, depending on how bad winter is, it can be 6 months of snow, rain, darkness. I think darkness is a big part of why it was hard for me the first month. So I would say that for me, if I'm being blatantly honest, I was super depressed my first month. Seasonal depression is a very real thing, even if you have never dealt with depression or anxiety before. Depression and anxiety were both pretty heavy for me my first year. I didn't really deal with it too much before. Like, I think I got anxious about stuff, but it didn't mean I had anxiety. But the first month I was here, I was very depressed. I mean, honestly, like, I never truly understood depression on a personal level until I really understood what people say when they say that depression can cripple you, and where you can wake up in the morning and not even want to get out of bed. And it's not just that you don't want to and you're just lazy. Like, it really is so hard to get out of bed. It's not, and it's like, there's no other way to explain it other than there were days where it was really hard for me to get up, and it wasn't just like I'm on my phone for too long. It was like I wouldn't want to do anything, and I almost felt like frozen there. Which was so weird for me because I had never experienced that. So that was really heavy my first month. And then also I would be sad, and there wasn't always an explanation for my sadness. I wasn't just sad and like missing my family, because of course that happened too. Of course I would get homesick, and of course I would miss my friends, or something would trigger a memory and I would get sad because I would miss people, and I would miss my home, and I would miss the comfortability and, you know, the friendliness of like the South, because it's more of a cold state up here, not even just weather wise, but people can be pretty cold. So that was also really different. People are just kind of on their own mission, and not all of them. I've also met some of the nicest people here, but not everyone is just kind of like embracing you and giving you the Southern hospitality. So that was also really different too. But so about my sadness, there were days that I was sad and I couldn't tell you why, and it wasn't like I just didn't know how to tap into my feelings. It was like, it was depression. Like, it was just like I was sad and I didn't know why, and like I couldn't shake it. Okay, sorry if the frame changed. I had to go out of this camera for a second just to answer a text. But yeah, so more on the seasonal depression that I experienced when I got here. Definitely, like, that was a real thing, because generally I don't think I've ever really dealt with depression or really anxiety. And I think that that was something that was made very real moving here. So I think that with that being said, I would definitely just look into the weather of where you're moving and just like maybe prepare accordingly. I think for me, something that my skin is so sensitive. I literally just like touch my face and it turns red. But I think that's something that would be helpful with the weather change. Like if you're moving into cold weather, I think if I had have been a little bit more, because I wasn't really afraid of the snow, or I wasn't afraid of it being cold, but I don't think I was very practical. So I think if you're going to be moving into cold weather, it would be really smart to prepare some type of activity for yourself. Like be prepared to take up some type of hobby. Like if you really think that you'd be good at, I don't know, like embroidery or like knitting of some sort. That sounds like I'm a grandma, but those things are fun. And if it's not something like that, maybe like an instrument, or if you like to sing, like, or if you want to start an Etsy shop and there's something creative you want to do, I think you should definitely come prepared. Or if you think that wherever you're moving, it would be fun for you to decorate, like, I don't like the word decorate, but like make your home like your own place, like, and make it nicer. I'm gonna say decorate, or decorate it, or maybe that can be your goal, like for when you're coming in. And I guess this is all considering that if you don't have a job or something when you're starting, but if you do, then that can also definitely be a way to like keep you occupied. So I think if you're moving into a place with different weather, that's, even if you're coming from cold weather, I don't know if depression is like heavy just like when you move somewhere and like maybe it's just hard to adjust. But if you do know that about yourself, like maybe plan in accordance to like how you know yourself to be. And if you don't know yourself that well, and that's why you're moving and you're trying to learn how you would be on your own and in a new environment, try to really think practically about where you're going to be moving and how you can set yourself up for success. Because I think I learned about myself too, that I'm just not a very practical person when it comes, I mean, I am now because I've learned a lot from moving. But before I was just like, I'll figure it out. Like, it's going to be awesome because I get to leave Florida, and I hated Florida at the time. So I was like, anything could be better than this. And it wasn't that way. I love Isaiah, and this does not take away from marriage being awesome, but really my first month of living here was super hard. And it did affect Isaiah too, because I was really sad and like really depressed. And I think that really rubbed off on him too, because he felt helpless because there was nothing he could do to make me better. Cause it wasn't his, it's not on him to fix what's happening in my life. Like, he was there for me and he did all the right things, but another person can't always fill you up and give you everything that you need, especially in such a hard transition. So I really honestly don't think I chose to lean on God either in that time. I think, I had a really tough time turning to anybody. So I think I definitely FaceTimed some friends and stuff my first month, but I don't know if I really truly opened up to many people. I probably opened up to a few friends, but for the most part, I think I learned also that I really push everyone away and I kind of go into isolation. But that's also a little bit of how it is here in Massachusetts. People get very isolated. And I think that's why seasonal affective, or seasonal depression, like whatever you want to call it. I don't really know all the technical terms, but like, I just know what I dealt with. I know that it can be a very isolating state because when you're here and like it's cold, no one wants to go outside and no one wants to be bothered with anything. So it's very normal for you to get cooped up at home for too long and not really go outside. So all these things are really tough. And so basically, I think a big tip would be plan accordingly to where you're going and make sure you set yourself up for success. And examples of how to do that, I would say, would be one, figuring out a hobby or something that you can pick up as something extra. Like if you're gonna have a job and that's during the day, maybe come up with something that you'll be able to do at night that can keep you busy and keep you learning and keep you stimulated. just to make sure that you're not just completely like neglecting yourself and thinking too much. And I think thinking is good, but there's such thing as thinking too much and getting way too in your feelings. And I think you should have something that at least gives you a little bit of something that stimulates your mind and keeps you going and keeps you feeling like you're being, whatever you want to call it, whether it's productive or just feeling like you're not doing nothing and just thinking all the time. I would say set yourself up for success in that way. Okay, let me separate this out. So setting yourself up for success if you're moving to a different state, I think would look like knowing your surroundings, knowing where you're moving. If you're moving to a really cold state, knowing that during a certain time of year, you're going to need to keep yourself company with something. And if you don't have a husband or friends or people you know super well at all around you, or even if you do and you just think that you're going to definitely need to keep yourself occupied, figure out a hobby, like figure out something you can do when it comes to, activities or whatever it is. If you're going to college, I would say really look into groups that your college is having. You don't want to just stick in your dorm the whole time. Even if you're introverted, even if you're quiet, like you need people too. Like it's good to have community. It's good to have people that are encouraging you and lifting you up and making sure that you don't just sit by yourself all day. And that's not bad, because I am a homebody, and like I'm not gonna lie, part of me has like over time, like since I have made some friends here and like I'm more acclimated now, part of me is very okay with just being home a lot, because I'm a homebody. So I'm not knocking being at home and like being by yourself, because that is like one of my favorite things to do. I mean, I'm by myself like almost all day every day, so and I love it. So I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I think looking back at my first month, I could have probably avoided a little bit of the hardship by kind of planning for how hard it would be to not have anyone. So I think if you're going to go to college and not really know people, or maybe only know one or two other people, like really look into the groups and stuff they have, and try to see how you could get involved on like someone's Facebook group, or follow them on Instagram, or set yourself up for that type of success in college too, so that you know you're going to have some type of community. And if you hate it when you get there, fine. Just like there's other things to do. There's coffee shops. You can find a coffee shop that you love and go there every day and just make it your hangout spot. Like find a way just to get connected. And of course, I'm going to suggest finding a church in your area too. Because for me, I did have a church when I first got here. But yeah, so definitely having a church and having a community that you can go to every Sunday, give yourself something to look forward to. And then churches are also a great way, regardless of if you're moving for school or moving for getting married or just moving in general. I would say that it's really good to have a church, because from getting involved in a church, there's so many other things that you get plugged into. There's like small groups, so you'll probably have like a small group, or odds are you're going to get connected with other people. You're going to have groups that you can go to throughout the week, and then normally they hang out, and like then you just kind of get plugged in. So I think that finding a church will be super important for you. And even if you're like not super religious, or I don't really consider myself like super religious or whatever. I'm just a Christian who has a relationship with Jesus and likes to be around Christians and non-Christians. I don't know how to say it, but so I think that even if you're not like super Christian or whatever, but you think that those are the type of people you would like to surround yourself with, there's nothing wrong with that. So find a church. Like it's probably the best place to be anyways. So, or it should be. So that is kind of like my first little tidbit of advice, would be to find a way to set yourself up for success. Kind of know your territory, figure out what you're stepping into, and find a way for you to have either a hobby, I would say hobby, and a group to get connected with, or a community to get yourself involved in. But if one or the other works better for you, then whatever it is going to take for you to kind of get yourself set up for a good situation. And then I would also, I think a huge part of moving is to give yourself grace, because you are going into a new environment that you don't know, and that it's not your normal home. It's not your normal place. So give yourself some grace. Like, I've had to give myself grace so many times, which I don't think I was like very used to giving myself a lot of grace, because I think I'm pretty hard on myself. So coming here and not having anything, not really knowing what I'm doing, and being like, oh, but I'm married, like, shouldn't I have my life together? But not everyone has their life together. I'm just gonna say it. Like, not everyone has their dream job. Not everybody is just like living their life feeling like they're killing it, or like have the most perfect marriage or have the most perfect relationship. Like, that's just not, it's not realistic. So coming here and not having a job, being really sad all the time, like not feeling like what I thought life would look like. Like, I just thought life would look a lot differently. Like, I just felt like a disaster. So after the first month, I think I really learned to give myself grace and be like, you know what? Like, I had found a job at that point, like after the first month, like the chaos of the first month's emotions and everything that went into it. I found a job, and I had grace with myself in that first month, and so did Isaiah. And it was like, okay, I'm gonna figure it out. I need to get my feet on the ground. I need to sort myself out emotionally. And there's also nothing wrong with getting yourself together and doing what's best for you. And that's what I needed to do, because I was having a really hard time. So I had to give myself grace there. And then I think too, there's so many areas I've had to give grace to myself that it's almost really hard to think of what to give grace with. There was just times where I was offered to like lead in certain areas or to do certain things, and I said no, because I knew for me, like I knew what I needed to do, and like for myself, and I knew what position I was in emotionally and mentally, and I had to learn to say no to things and have grace with myself for why I say no, and like for the things I choose to do, and like, I don't know, just like finances, like whatever it is that goes into being an adult and moving. Like financially, I had to give myself grace. In my marriage, I've had to give myself grace too, and hope for grace in return from Isaiah, and he's given me so much grace. Because I don't know how to be a wife yet. Being a wife is a skill. Like, I've been married for 6 months. Like, I am not a professional wife. And I don't think anyone really arrives at professional wife status. Let me know if you're there, because I could use a few tips. But anyways, I think just like also stepping into a life that you aren't like, that you've never lived, in like a new world and a new group of people. Like, if you're awkward and you've been awkward in front of people, give yourself some grace. You don't even know those people. Like, you're new. Like, you're the new kid, and that's okay. Like, same with like money stuff. Like, I like to think I'm pretty good with money. I mean, I'm the daughter of a financial planner, and my dad has given me so many helpful tips, and I've grown up saving money and knowing how to like be frugal and a little cheap. But that is like, I was always pretty good with money, but you know, like a lot happens when you're paying your own bills and you're trying to figure it out, and like having grace with yourself too, and like trusting God with everything in my life. Like, there's going to be a lot of areas where you feel like you fall short or you don't measure up to how you think you should be. And I think that is another reason to give yourself grace, because I just want to say that you, in a world of women talking about them being a strong, independent woman and doing their thing, that's so good. All for girl power, great. But we are missing out in the Bible about where Jesus says like his strength is made perfect in our weakness. And my pastor said this, my pastor Mona said this at our women's conference. She said, I don't want to be a strong woman. Like, I want to be a woman who is okay with being weak and not having it all together, because when I'm weak, God's strength is made perfect. And I'm like, yes, that's so good. Like, let's stop pretending like we're supposed to be like carrying 10 different things at one time and like we're supposed to be excelling at all of it. Like, that's not realistic. And I'm not trying to say that like girl power is dumb and like we should be weak and like fall apart, but like, it's okay to not have your ish together all the time. Like, that's life, and that's gonna happen when you move into a new place. And like, when you're living in a new world you've never lived in. Like, you're probably going to fall apart a few times. You're probably going to have an emotional breakdown, and that's okay. And you should give yourself grace, and you should self-care. Like, whether you're a guy or girl, do a face mask. I know guys who do face masks. Do a face mask. Give yourself a day. Do what you have to do. Like, there's so much grace. There's so much grace, and you need to give yourself some, because it is a real thing and you need it. And it's there for you, and you're the only person holding you back from receiving grace. So give yourself some, especially when you move, because, well, not especially when you move. I need grace all the time. So whether you're moving or not, give yourself grace. But I'm talking about in this video for, you know, moving and stuff. Be prepared that you're going to fall down. You're going to not get a job opportunity you wanted where you move. You're going to maybe not make the friend that you wanted, or have the perfect life, or the perfect apartment, or whatever it is that you thought would be a certain way. Just relax. Like, not everyone's life. Like, I think sometimes too, when you do move, everyone expects that like your life is going to be perfect, and that you are like, oh, you moved from like your hometown, like you must have it all together and you must be living the dream. But like, it's okay to not live the dream all the time. Like, I think living the dream is a mindset. So I think wherever you go to, a major thing is just like, try to be optimistic even when things are hard, and really just like have your mind on, like, intentionally be positive and be grateful. Because if there's one thing big that I've learned from living here, it's to be so grateful. Like, I was talking to my best friend Erin on the phone the other day, and I told her, like, I have become like a big mush ball of like gratefulness, which I'm not mad about. I'm so okay with that. But living in Florida, like coming from a place that's all sun all the time, like it's not always like that here. And so sometimes like the sun will be coming in through the window, and I will literally stand there and be like, I am so grateful for the sun. I'm like this big mush ball. But it's like, I've learned to be so grateful. And like, even for the friends I have here, like, shout out to my girl Tori. Gosh, like, shout out to anyone I've hung out with over the past few weeks. Rachel, Mari, like, I've really come across some really awesome gems of people. And Tori's my closest friend here, and I would just like love to say that I've become so grateful for that friendship. And just like, because she is one of my only friends here, like in this state, I'm like, you get to feel so alone. So when you do get friends and like you make friends, gosh, it's just like, hold on to them, like be so grateful. Cause you know, like you have, like, making a friend is such a beautiful thing. And so I've learned to be so grateful for the people I do have and the friendships I do have. And, so it's just like, and the sun, like, I'm so grateful for the sun. I'm so grateful for like little things. I don't know. It just teaches you to be really grateful. Did dwell a lot on the bad or the hard stuff here and the things that were different. And I think switching my perspective to being like, where can I find beauty in this time and like this hard time? Because I know that when I do leave this season, whenever I do leave Massachusetts, I'm gonna look back and wish that I was more grateful for certain aspects of it. So if I can really seek out the things that I'm grateful for here and now, then that is a beautiful thing. And it helps you to live in the moment more. It helps you to take it in, because you never know when a season is going to end, and like when you're going to look back and wish you were more grateful for that season. So I think realizing that too, that we're not just guaranteed this tremendous amount of time anywhere we are or in life even. So like really being grateful for where you're at, and like trying to, I think the more you can be grateful and pick out everything it is that you are so thankful for and like so appreciative of, it helps you to live in the moment more. So that's another thing. Just be grateful, be really grateful, even if things are so tough and you feel like, where can I find greatness in such a terrible, distant world that I'm not used to? Really just try to be grateful as much as you can, for every little thing. Because I've noticed these days that Jesus has given me this new gratefulness, like every time I wake up, because I listened to this song called Great Are You, Lord. And I think it's by All Sons and Daughters. And there was a line in that song that it was like Jesus just like spoke to my heart when I was listening to that worship song. And the line in it that says, "It's your breath in my lungs." I was like, wow. I was like, just that simple thing of that I wake up every morning and that Jesus's breath is flowing through my lungs. Like, I have his breath in my lungs. That is why I wake up every morning. I'm like, that is one thing every single day that if nothing else great happens in the day, I received the breath of Jesus, the living God flowing through my lungs. Like, if you can't be grateful for that, I don't know what you can be grateful for though, too. You know what I mean? Like, I think if I start my day every morning and I have that in my head, like, it is Jesus's breath and blood flowing through my veins. I get that every day. It's almost like starts off your day on a note that you're like, wow, I can live this day to the fullest. I can be grateful because I have the breath and the blood of the living God flowing through my veins. And I get to live every day because of him and because of that and for that reason. So I think that is a big thing too I've learned, is just gratefulness and knowing that every day that I have is just like truly though, like actually a blessing from the Lord. Like, some people did not wake up this morning. Some people didn't make it to this day. So like, you have that to be grateful for. And I know that sounds like so like idealistic and so like, okay, yeah, of course I'm alive today. But like, really though, like, have you ever lost a family member? Have you ever lost a friend? Like, there's people that don't make it this far. And like, here you are, like with God's breath in your lungs. Like, that's amazing. So that's a big thing too. Just be grateful for that. I think I'm just trying to think of more advice and more stuff I can give to you guys, because I'm trying to I remember the first month that I moved here, I was looking on YouTube everywhere for just like encouragement on how to get through moving to a new place. And I really didn't find a lot of videos. So my hope and my prayer for this video is that someone who had moved somewhere or like is going to college or is about to move somewhere, get married and go somewhere, that they can watch this and feel encouraged. Or even if you're already in the situation of living somewhere else and it's really, really hard for you, and you feel really alone and you're really struggling, that this would be something that would help you and give you hope, or encourage you to do something maybe that you're not doing and that you think could help you. So yeah, I'm trying to think of like a few more things. So I think what I've said so far is, one, get to know your surroundings of where you're going and really prepare yourself to set yourself up for greatness. I also know that can be really hard in like going like before you go somewhere, because all you're thinking about is the excitement of going somewhere, or you have your own agenda that you have every single day that you're already trying to take care of before you move, and you don't have time to think about that. But I would really try to make time to like think about what your practical day-to-day is going to look like whenever you're about to move somewhere else, because that's helpful for just setting you up for the best success. Some people might not have problems with this. Like, some people might move and just like be obsessed with like where they go and they're fine. But like for me, it just wasn't like that, because I didn't have anyone. And I think community and getting to just talk to someone in person, like face to face, and it not just be my husband, was like super important. And I think having that in Florida, like all the time, like my best friend Molly was over like every day, like all the time. She sleeps over at my house all the time. Then I had like Lindsay and Rachel right down the road, and then I had Young Life, and I had all my girls, and then I had my parents and my brothers and my dogs. Like I had so much stuff, and I just like knew places everywhere. Like I could go to my gym right down the road. I knew my Trader Joe's. Like, it's just all this comfortable stuff. And so I think finding things that could be a little piece of home for you wherever you go could be really important and really helpful. If you're anything like me and this resonates with you, really try to go out of your way to see what you can to make the area that you're moving into not feel like such a stranger's, like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, look and see if Because like for me, Publix was really big in Florida. They don't have Publix here in Massachusetts, so I go to Trader Joe's, and I love Trader Joe's because I used to go to Trader Joe's anyways, but like Publix was near my house, so I grew up going to Publix. And so, you know, just like even little things like find your grocery store, or like find a grocery store that you'd really like to go to. I know if you're in the north, I don't know if it's everywhere, but Wegmans is a really cool grocery store. So like find things that can make you feel more like home, and where you can make your life your own wherever you're going. And I think I said too, like find a church, find a community, find like a club at your school, or like a sorority, or like a ministry group. Like I know at UF there's like Navigators. UF is where my best friend goes, so I think about her school a lot. But like Navigators, and I know Navs is one that is multiple places, but they also have Crew. They also have Young Life in college. They have so many different stuff that you can get involved in. So like, definitely just seek those groups out. Even if you're not like in session for school, normally they have like people will hang out, or they have events, or they have like interest meetings or stuff. So that's important too. Giving yourself grace, that's also very important. Find any way you can to give yourself grace. And then I think a big thing too that could really be not like looked down upon, like it's not looked down upon at all, but like if you really are having a hard time, like if you're actually feeling very depressed and this is something that's like really hard for you, like really seek out help. Unfortunately, when I moved here, I really didn't seek help, and I definitely could have used that, and it would have been nice to have like a third party, like outside of just venting to Isaiah. It would have been nice to have someone to go to and just tell them like how I'm having a really hard time processing. And I know that if you go on psychology.com, you can type in your insurance, and it'll tell you psychologists around you that accept your insurance. Unfortunately, I had Florida insurance, so none of the psychologists here really accepted my insurance, but I still could have gone and like paid out of pocket. I chose not to work hard enough to get help. And, I still want counseling. Like I think counseling is so good, and I still want it, and I'm still like pursuing, trying to figure out what the best thing is, because I don't think you should just get help when you're like in a crisis. Like I think it's good to just be mentally healthy, so like that's important. Like prioritize yourself, like stop belittling the things that you're going through, like get help. It's okay to not be okay, so I think that's an important thing too, like get help if you need it. Don't just use your friends and your boyfriend or your husband, or your mom or your dad to be your counselors, because professional help is good. Good routine for yourself helps too. So I think the quicker you can get yourself into a normal routine, the quicker that you maybe will start to acclimate better. And of course, in that routine that you create, spend time with God. Like make it a priority to spend time with God. I suggest doing your quiet time, or whatever you want to call it, with God, like where you just get in the Bible and like have your Bible and like read and pray and worship and just spend time with God. I think the best thing to do that, or the best time to do that, is in the morning, because I think personally it sets your precedent for the day. It sets just the tone of your day. It gets you in the word. It gets you living from the platform that Jesus wants to like use you from. Did that make any sense? But whatever. It just gets you set up for success for the rest of your day. And it like just gets that positive word of God, and just like the stuff that the Holy Spirit wants to speak to you and speak to your heart. It gets that there in the beginning of the day, and then you get to live your rest of the day off that. And I think also that helps me to be more grateful, which is one of the things that, or one of the tips that I gave you for moving and just being intentional with your life. And being grateful about things is a lot easier when Jesus is my priority. Like that's just, I'm more grateful when the Word of God is present in my life. So I would say that coming up with a good schedule and a good routine is super important, and don't forget about reading the Word and like that being in your schedule. Make that like the first thing that you put on your schedule, and then let everything else filter out into your day from that point. Whew. So I want to think that's all of my advice, and all of that advice came from a place of me. I didn't really do that stuff in the beginning, and now looking back in hindsight, I see the things I could have done to help myself, and I've walked through the really hard part of living here. And I think that I really hope that those tips and just advice and my personal story helped you. A big thing over time is you're going to learn a lot about yourself. You're going to grow in such good ways. And I think the more that you take the tips in mind that I gave you, I think you're going to be able to be healthier maybe than I was my first few months here. And I just really hope this helps you and allows you to get yourself set up for the best possible situation and the best success. And I just hope that you know that I'm right here with you if you are really having a hard time. I'm praying for you, and I want you to know that if you need anything, please message me. I think on Instagram would be the best way, just because I think that that is like probably a better way of communication than YouTube. But yeah, so don't hesitate to message me because I'm here. I feel you. I know it can be hard, but also this is so exciting. This is such an exciting part of life. If you're going to be moving and you're excited, be so excited. I also don't want this video to be a downer and just like, oh, it's going to suck. It's not the same for everyone. Like I said, your story is different than mine, but I just want to help you and set you up for success and make sure that your mind is on for what it could potentially be like, or just to be prepared, whatever that means for you. So enjoy whatever season you're going to step into, but also enjoy where you're at, take in where you're at, be grateful, soak it up with all the people that you love and that you have with you right now. But yeah, that's about it. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I love you guys so much, and I really hope, I am hopeful for your next season of life. I'm hopeful for your marriage. I'm hopeful for you and your friend moving across the world. Whatever it is that you're going to do, you're going to do great things, and the best is yet to come. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
I've seen your soul grow just like a rose, made it through all of those thorns, girl, into the woman I know. And it's killing me to say I'm fine.